Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jess Ventura, and I'm the Graduate Recruitment Manager here at UC Merced. We have a great information session for you all today. It's our pre-grow office hour where we're going to discuss new hire paperwork, the onboarding process, and also give you an overview of graduate student funding. We have some awesome presenters from some of our units here at UC Merced today. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves and I'll pass it off to Chua and the grad funding team could say hello.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chua Mulana, and I'm the Student Financial Services Manager. And then I'll hand it off to my team for them to introduce themselves. John?
Hi, everyone. My name is John Rubio, and I am a Student Financial Services Analyst in the Grad Funding Unit.
Hello, everyone. My name is Esmeralda, and I am a Student Financial Services Analyst in the Grad Funding Unit.
And then we also have a great colleague from our UCM Payroll Services Department here.
Hi, I'm Andrea Smothers, and I work for the academic payroll portion of payroll services.
Great. Thank you, team. So for everyone who's just joining us, we have a lot of information to share with you all today. Just so you know, we do have slides and we'll be sure to share those out. So if you miss anything or are taking notes, just know that that information will come your way. Today, our goal is just to kind of help you know what to expect when you get here at UC Merced, especially regarding graduate student funding, and very important, the new hire paperwork and onboarding process. We will have plenty of time for Q&A at the end, but if you do have questions throughout our presentation, you're welcome to drop them into the chat, and we'll do our best to either answer them at the end or answer them as you ask in the chat. A couple reminders before we jump into our content. Graduate Student Orientation Week, or GROW, is coming up very soon, so August 17th. Registration is now open, and you all should have received emails with how to register and also how to access our GROW portal, which has your schedule information. So if you haven't seen that email, please go check your junk or search for it. It came from graduate admissions, and be sure that you register so that we know that you're coming. We'll be following up via email with a couple reminders, but of course, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to our team at any time. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Chua, and Chua will talk a little bit about graduate student funding.
Thank you, Jess. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to go over the funding kind of stuff for graduate students. So understanding graduate funding at UC Merced. Kind of the agenda for today, how we're going to follow this is going to go over cost of attendance, the types of funding, the eligibility for these basic for funding, employment, just briefly touch on TA and GSR, and then fellowships, financial aid loans, and then fee information for the academic year. And then we can open it up to Q&A then or afterwards as well. So for the cost of attendance for this year, the 2026-27 academic year, tuition and fees, this amount right here, the $21,527 is for the academic year. So that's fall plus spring. Fall, so the fall breakdown is a little bit less. It's about $10,309. And then the spring breakdown is about $11,218. And that spring is a little bit more because insurance for spring goes till I think at the end of August, so then you're being charged a little bit more for insurance. But if you want to know the exact breakdown, I do have the link there, and it'll take you to the registrar's website, which will show you the exact fees and the expenses related to cost of attendance. If you are a non-resident, you will be charged the NRST fee, and that's $15,000, roughly $15,000 a year. So it's about $75.51 per semester that gets tacked on to. So that's on top of the $21,000 that you see up there. So for master students, non-resident master students, you're responsible for the NRST fee yourself. For domestic, PhD non-residents, the first year is covered. And then you must establish residency by your third semester or going into your second year to avoid future NRST fees. So it's important that you start that process now. The two links I have there, Understanding Residency and Specific Information, those are kind of overview about the residency process. But the important link is the last one. That's the link to the registrar's website, which will tell you the exact requirements for establishing your California residency. So if you are a non-resident, make sure you visit that website so you know the requirements and you know when you need to submit things by. And then for international students, you guys are covered for up to 6 semesters. And then you're expected to advance. And then after you advance, you get another 6 semesters of NRST waiver. And summer is not considered a term. It's just fall and spring. So you're not required to enroll for summer. So then if you're not enrolled, you won't have any fees tacked on. So the different types of funding. So we fund about 97% of our PhD students in the form of a TA, teaching assistant, or a graduate student researcher, GSR, and or fellowships. So look at your funding commitment or your funding letter that you should have received at the time or right after you're admitted. That'll tell you how you're funded during your time here. And most funding will be employments or your TA or GSR. Those are determined at the schools. They will know who they need to appoint, and where to go in what section. So then they make those decisions. So questions about employment or TA or GSR, that'll be, you can contact your graduate program. Fellowships, the big fellowships, though, that's a type of funding and that's administered through our student system. It goes through the financial aid system. And these are normally small fellowships, but for the big fellowships, our big fellowships are fellowships that have monthly disbursements as well as cover tuition and fees. Most of those are internal, but we do have some that are external. And then lastly, another type of funding are student loans. Those are administered through the financial aid system as well. So those are your unsubsidized loans. And then also personal funds. So for personal funds, so if you don't have any of the above and you have to pay, you can pay from your own accounts. And there's also private loans that you can take out, but that won't be through the university. That'll be outside. The basic eligibility for funding. This is kind of for all the employment, fellowship, loans. It'll be enrolled in 12 units or more, be in good academic standing. So that means completion of 8 units or more in your upper division or graduate level coursework, no more than 2 incomplete grades, cumulative GPA of 3.0, and the summer funding is based on your previous spring eligibility. And just to know, each funding source may have additional eligibility requirements on top of the basic ones that I mentioned there. So for a TA or GSR appointment, if you are appointed at a 25% FTE or higher, you receive fee remissions, and the fee remissions are a benefit of employment. That means you get your fees paid for, so your student fees, your tuition, and that sort of thing. And then it'll cover, if you're the NRST, if you're a domestic, 1 year, and if you're international, it'll cover 6 semesters of that. And that'll go for both the TA and the GSRs. For fellowships, so fellowship is not employment, so you won't be getting a timesheet or that sort of thing to fill out. It is, taxes are not withheld as well, so you should estimate and budget for taxes. They're generally paid as a lump sum, and then the big fellowships are monthly disbursements. So you'll get that spread over 9 months if it's a big fellowship. And then important, this is kind of for everyone. If you will all receive a fellowship at one point in time during your career here at UC Merced. So you should set up an EFT. EFT is electronic funds transfer. That link will take you to the SBS website, and there's a YouTube clip that can show you how to go in and set up your EFT. So it's kind of like direct deposit for your fellowships, and it's separate from the UC Path system. So if you're going to get a fellowship, make sure you set that up so that you can receive it electronically, or else you'll get a paper check, and that'll take 7 to 10 days after it's refunded for it to get to you. So direct deposit, it'll take 3 to 5 days after the refund process, and then a mail paper check will be a bit longer, 7 to 10, or maybe even longer. And then as always, just kind of remember that to follow the criteria for your fellowship. So for student loans are available to U.S. citizens and permanent residents, but you must complete your FAFSA. And most fellowships may reduce your student loan eligibility, so that's important to note. So it'll count as a financial resource, and you may not be eligible for the fellowship if you've taken out the max for loans. So that's important to know. And if you have any questions, you can always ask the financial aid office. They actually administer the student loans, and they can help you with determining if you're eligible for outside extra fellowships. And then TA and GSR appointments are included in financial aid in determining your need. So some fee information for this fall. If you're fully funded, so if you already have a TA or GSR appointment or a full fellowship, if you've already registered, you'll see a balance already. So don't be alarmed. We will start doing fee remissions in mid-August. So you'll have a balance up until that date, until that time. And then once we process the free remissions, it should offset your bill and it should clear that out. So just to know. But if you're self-funded, you'll have to make your own payments. You'll have to, the fee payment deadline is August 19th. And you can either make the payment, or if it's a really big amount, you can elect for a deferred payment plan, and you want to click on that link. It'll take you to the website. It'll tell you the requirements to be on DPP, when it starts, when to make payments, and that sort of thing. And then if you have any additional course fees, so if you're enrolled in some kind of lab and it tax on a course fee, that is your responsibility. And then there's also the last fee is a small fee. It's the UC GPC fee, and it's the UC Graduate and Professional Council system-wide fee. It's a fee charged to all graduate students for supporting the UC GPC, but it's not a required fee, so you can opt out of it. And once you opt out, you'll be out until you finish. So if you don't opt out, you'll be charged each semester that you're enrolled until you finish. And then lastly, just reminders for your time during your time here as a graduate student. Enroll as soon as possible for the next semester. Make sure you're enrolled in 12 units or more, depending on the program, but the minimum is 12 units. Complete all employment paperwork as early as possible each semester. If you're interested in loans, you'll submit the FAFSA, and the priority deadline is March 2nd. But of course, for graduate students, you can submit after that and still be considered. And then note that any university fellowships may affect your student loan eligibility. So yeah, and then if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. You can always email us at gradfunding@UC Merced. Our website is also a good resource. I have the financial aid office up here for if you have questions about student loan or submitting a FAFSA, loan eligibility, those questions. the financial aid office is there. And then the residency, for those of you who are non-resident and kind of you need to know the process, I have the registrar's website there. And of course, we have the main graduate division website, which has our forms, our policy, and that sort of stuff. So I think that's it for me. Are we doing questions, Jess, or are we doing questions after?
I think we can do questions after. There's a couple questions that came in if you want to look at them in the chat. But we can answer them after too. And so now we will, thank you, Chua. That was great. We will shift gears over to Andrea and we're going to talk about new hire paperwork and also the onboarding process. So I will stop my share and Andrea will go ahead and share her slides now. Andrea, you're on mute right now.
Oh, well, that helps as well. I said, I apologize that it's not in presentation mode. If I share it that way, I lose my notes. I can't see what I'm supposed to be saying. So I will leave it in that way. Everybody can see it though. You're seeing this payroll services hiring event. Oh, great. Okay. As I mentioned, I work for payroll services, specifically the academic workflow. I share responsibilities with 4 payroll analysts. 2 of these analysts are responsible for your job information being accurately entered into the payroll system, UCPath, and the other 2 are responsible for processing pay through UCPath and timesheets through our timesheet program. Maybe I can get this to work. Okay, those are the analysts. And I mentioned them just so that if you receive emails from these individuals, you'll realize that it's from payroll. We do not have one email that comes from payroll services or from academic payroll. So some people will see an email from Annette Castillo and not realize it's from payroll and we're waiting for a response. We don't usually reach out unless we want you to do something, change something, or provide us some information. So that's why I provided the names of the analysts. If you have any questions of the local payroll office, we have payroll services inquiry rep form, which I've linked at the bottom. That's the best way to get in touch with us. If one of the analysts are out or unavailable, your response will be delivered to all of the analysts so that you get a timely response. And you should expect a response within 1 to 2 business days. This right. The hire dates. As Chua mentioned, if you are working as a TA or a GSR, you have to be hired as an employee into those jobs. We have a list of new hires that we have received from each of the departments. If you've never worked at the university before, you're a new hire. If you have worked here before as an undergrad student, you are a rehire. If you'll be attending Grow the week of the 17th, as you are expected, we're going to take advantage of the fact that you're all together and hold our hiring event during that Grow session so we can get as many of you to complete your hire. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. So who gets a cold in the summer? So we can get as many of you to complete your hire documents as one time. Normally, a new hire or rehire is asked to schedule an intake with our workforce onboarding hub in the hiring intake office located in the Collegian Library, but we take advantage that you're all together and we will be setting up this hiring intake at KL 360 on the 3rd floor of the library. If you are a graduate student researcher, your hire date is August 17th. You're required to complete your hire documents and present your work authorization documents to payroll services no later than August 17th. Teaching assistants or associate instructors, your hire date is August 1st, but your in-service date, excuse me, is August 19th. You are required to complete hire documents and present work authorization documents to payroll services no later than August 19th. However, due to UCPath deadlines, UCPath is our payroll program, in order for you to receive your 9/1 paycheck on 9/1/26, you have to complete hire documents no later than August 18th. You may not commence working until you complete hire documents and present your work authorization to payroll services. The week of July 20th, you should have received 3 emails from our payroll analyst, Chelsea Pedretti or Rachel Maldonado. Your first request was a Box folder share invite. Box is a secure program that we use to share sensitive documents. You also would have received an email from a payroll services analyst. You would have received it from Chelsea if your last name begins with the letter A through L. You would have received it from Rachel Maldonado if your last name begins with the letter M through Z. The last email you would have received is from our I-9 compliance program, and that sender would have been employment.authorization@universityofcalifornia.edu. If you did not receive any of these 3 emails, please reach out to your hiring department, graduate student services, not payroll services, to determine why you were not included on the list of employees mentioned above. If you received 1 of the 3 emails or 2 of the 3 emails, but not all 3, please submit a payroll services inquiry. As I mentioned, the first email you received was your invite to the Box folder. Then you would have received the email from Chelsea or Rachel that includes a link to that Box folder inside that email. You will have 2 documents in that Box folder that are PDF. You can fill them out by PDF. I don't know what they call it. Sorry. They need to be completed by end of business on August 14th, the Friday before the 2 hiring sessions on August 17th or August 18th. They don't need to be printed out. They can merely be typed and re-uploaded or typed on in Box. Or if you do feel that you need to print them out, please scan or photograph them and re-upload them to Box. Please do not bring them with you to the hiring event. They need to be in that Box folder by Friday the 14th. When completing the personal data form, one of the 2 documents you're uploading to Box, please note that the address that you provide on that document is the address that we are going to be entering into UCPath as your mailing address and where your first paycheck will be mailed. So don't put your mom's house in Kansas if you're not eligible to pick up a check in Kansas on September 1st. If you don't have a mailing address yet, you haven't moved into your apartment, see if you can use a friend's address, and then you can change your mailing address in UCPath. You can use the on-campus mailing address, but it's also difficult then for employees to find their checks when they're mailed to the campus. So I don't suggest that option either. Do not upload other items into Box. We deactivate the Box link in October and you will no longer have access. So if you've put something in there, a project, I've retrieved several projects for people that have just decided they could use Box for other things. Unfortunately, we will cut off your access. So it's just for the re-uploading of those 2 documents. Do not upload any personal documents such as your social security card, your driver's license, your passport to that folder. You will present those to us personally on the 17th or the 18th. They do not need to be uploaded to Box. Okay. The last email you received was from Tracker, the university's I-9 compliance program. As I mentioned, it's from employment authorization at universityofcalifornia.edu. It's in your junk folder. It never goes to anybody's primary folder. I gave you the person that it's from so that you can search for it. However, if you do not find it, please reach out to payroll services and we can resend you the link. This email will direct you to the first page of the USCIS I-9 employment eligibility verification. It will ask your legal name, your residence address, and your citizenship status. Please complete, sign, and date the document as soon as you can, but no later than Friday, August 14th. It is expected to be completed before your appearance at the hiring session on Monday, August 17th or Tuesday, August 18th. Please let payroll services, the analyst that sent you the email, know if you do not receive or cannot find the email with the link to the I-9. When completing the I-9, please use your legal name that should match your social security card. If your legal name is Rufus Bobcat, but you go by Kitty, please use Rufus Bobcat for the I-9. You can use Kitty Bobcat everywhere else, but you need to use your legal name for the I-9. If you've been issued a social security card, your social security number is required to be provided on that document. The social security number field indicates that it is optional. It is only optional for those individuals that have not yet received a social security card. If you have not yet been issued a social security number, you can leave the field blank and you will present your social security card to the hiring intake office when you receive it. It usually takes about 15 to 30 days for you to get that social security card. So you will then just walk into the hiring intake office. It's in the first floor of the library. As you walk in the double doors, it's on your left, and they sit at a desktop that's there, or a countertop, excuse me. If you are an alien authorized to work and you are here on an F1 visa, your program end date on the UC Merced issued I-20 is when your work authorization ends. This doesn't apply to citizens, so I just wanted to put that note in there. That's probably the #1 email we receive is, what is my work authorization end date? And it's located on your I-20. Don't forget to complete the I-9 process by electronically signing the document. Let's make sure you have everything you need for your intake appointment. If you return to the email from either Chelsea or Rachel, there's a link to a list of acceptable USCIS documents that you can present to verify your work eligibility. Please review the USCIS website by following that link to ensure you have the original unexpired documents with you when you come to the hiring sessions. We cannot accept photocopies, scans, emails, photos on your phone, or expired documents. If you are a returning employee, we cannot use a document you previously presented to be hired. You will be asked to present current unexpired documents. The next step is scheduling your intake on either the 17th or the 18th. Again, returning to the email from Chelsea or Rachel, there's another link to schedule an onboarding appointment on either Monday, August 17th or Tuesday, August 18th. Please schedule that appointment upon receipt of the email from Payroll Services to arrange a time between 9 a.m. and 3:50 p.m. that works best for you. We do work during the lunch hour. We have 2 analysts that will be assisting you that day to complete the hire process. We have 2 appointments for every 10-minute increment. And as I mentioned, we are open during the lunch break. I anticipate to see the bulk of you on Monday, August 17th. If you are a GSR, you must complete your hire documents on Monday, August 17th. As I mentioned earlier, that is your hire date. If you complete hire documents later on Tuesday or later than that, your appointment will be cut short and you will be paid less wages. If you are a teaching assistant or an associate instructor, you may schedule an appointment on either Monday, August 17th or Tuesday, August 18th. I mentioned that your service period commences August 19th. However, due to UCPAT deadlines, if you complete documents on the 19th, your school or department will need to request an intake appointment for the 19th because we will not be holding the hiring session. Your first paycheck will not be mailed to you on 9/1 if you complete documents on the 19th, though. That is UCPAT's deadline, and we do not have enough time to get your documents processed to be included for on-cycle payday of 9/1/26. So we look forward to seeing all of you on either Monday, August 17th or Tuesday, August 18th. And the Collegian Library KL 360. Please ignore any other instructions that you've received saying that it's anywhere else. It is the Collegian Library KL 360. It's literally across from the elevators as you step out the elevator door. At the intake appointment, you will be checking in with our payroll intake coordinators. They will briefly confirm that you've completed the necessary hire documents and box, and they'll confirm that you've completed that first page of the I-9 in Tracker. I believe Graduate Division will also be set up there that day. You guys have graciously helped us the last few years. I'm hoping that you can this year, just to keep the appointments on track and make sure that you get in at your scheduled time. We will accept walk-ins, however, they will be seen as time permits between the scheduled appointments. So if you schedule a time for 11:40, we expect to get you in at 11:40. You will be called into the KL 360 room by payroll analyst Nastasha or Annette. Doesn't matter which one you're seen by. There may be others assisting throughout the day, myself or our payroll director, Emily Bustos. Once inside, please have your original unexpired work eligibility documents ready to present to the payroll analyst for them to complete page 2 of the USCIS I-9 employment eligibility document. You'll be handed the university oath for our citizens, and you'll be handed the university's patent and our social security form to complete and sign in front of the payroll analyst, who will sign it as a witness. Once both the I-9 and the university oath patent and social security form are completed and signed, you're finished with your onboarding appointment. This should take no more than 10 to 15 minutes. You've now completed your hire documents and you are considered an employee. Be aware that you will have to complete rehire documents every time you separate from the university. As of fall 2025, graduate student appointments are auto-termed at the end of every semester and summer. Unless your department or school reaches out to extend your appointment and reappoint you, you should confirm with them if you must complete rehire documents when being reappointed each semester before commencing work. Payroll services will enter all your appointments into the payroll system, UCPath, by the August 19th UCPath deadline. If you complete your onboarding documents on 8/17 or 8/18 and your department or school has provided your job information to payroll services, we anticipate you being entered and active in the payroll system to receive your August earnings on the regular on-cycle payday of 9/1/25. Once your job is active in UCPath, which can take several days, payroll services will email a welcome email to you via your UC Merced email address. It will include the link to UCPath, the payroll system, and you will be able to access UCPath. You will not be able to access UCPath prior to receipt of the welcome email. I suggest you bookmark that UCPath link from the welcome email. You should receive the welcome email no later than August 28th. It will have additional tasks for you to set up in UCPath, such as direct deposit, tax withholdings, self-identification for race and ethnicity. The priority is to establish direct deposit. So your 10-1 check is delivered via that method. You're going to select income and taxes from the ribbon menu in UCPath. It's the landing page. Then you're going to select direct deposit and follow the instructions to establish that. UCPath direct deposit is separate from any other direct deposit that you may set up for expense reimbursements or financial aid. It is required to be separately set up for your wages to be dispersed via direct deposit from UCPath. It takes several days for the direct deposit information to be confirmed, which is why your first check on 9/1/26 is going to be mailed. If you have previously entered direct deposit information from previous employment, please review the information and ensure it is still accurate. It is usually purged following separation. And as a reminder to everybody, the university employees have recently been heavily targeted for their direct deposit banking information. Be wary of emails asking you to follow a link and provide your banking information. Do not follow links sent to you via email. Payroll services and UCPath will never reach out to request your banking or direct deposit information. Direct deposit is a self-service feature from you logging into UCPath. Your 9/1/2026 check will be mailed from UCPath located in Riverside, California on 9/1/26. Please allow up to 5 business days for the United States Postal Service mailing for you to receive the check at the mailing address you provided to us on the personal data form. Make sure I'm on the right page. The pay for that 9/1/26 paycheck generates on August 26th. So when you get that welcome email from us, if you log in and subsequently change your address, that check for 9/1/26 has already been generated and will still mail out on 9/1/26 to the address we initially entered and which you provided on the personal data form. So your next check will be affected by an address change, but the 9/1 check will not. If you do not complete onboarding documents on 8/17/25 as a GSR or 8/18/27 as a TA or AI, then you will not receive a paycheck on 9/1/25. And oh, there's a typo on my notes. Sorry. An off-cycle check will be ordered once your appointment is active in UC Path. It will be dispersed after the on-cycle payday of September 1st. Disbursement will depend on when your appointment is active in UC Path to allow us to request an off-cycle check, which takes 5 business days. We estimate disbursement of that paycheck approximately 15 business days from when we receive all necessary documents, which allows us to enter the appointment into UC Path and then request the off-cycle check. So it's very important that you come see us on the 17th or 18th. Here's just some reminders. Paydays are the first day of the month for the previous month's earnings. It's occasionally earlier if the first falls on a Sunday. I've listed all your paydays for the next 5 months of the fall semester. Bank holidays, which is the first of 2027, will delay disbursement of the first paycheck of the year. Unfortunately, this is outside of the university's control. So as you can see, your check for January, which is your December earnings, will fall on January 4th. GSRs will receive prorated earnings for August due to a mid-month start. They start the 17th. TAs and AIs will receive a full month's pay on September 1st. The earnings breakdown for each of these titles will be provided in detail during orientation. And all 3 GSRs, TAs, and AIs all have timesheet requirements for the upcoming academic year, which will be explained further at orientation. That is all I had, unless there were any questions.